With all due respect to the horses we have discussed in the recaps and the other horses we will discuss in the upcoming recaps, the most exciting winner of the weekend, of a stakes race anyway, happened at Churchill Downs on Saturday afternoon. This was the field of 11 two-year-old fillies that went in the Pocahontas, and the favorite on the morning line and the favorite at post time was Serengeti Empress, breaking from the inside on the heels of an impressive victory, blowout victory, in the Ellis Park Debutante. She went out and won by more than 13 lengths. She came in here, stretching out to 2 turns for the first time, bet down to odds of 4 to 5. Again, you never know until they do it, but the pedigree at face value would suggest 2 turns wasn't going to be an issue, and she has legitimate early speed. What does that ultimately equal? A win by nearly 20 lengths. She gets the job done at odds of 4 to 5, pays $3.80, does Serengeti Empress. She defeats Splashy Kisses, who runs second, beaten 19.5 lengths. And the third place finisher, Lights Camera Action, rounds out the trifecta at odds of 19 to 1. This was an emphatic and very, very impressive victory from Serengeti Empress. Let's take a look at her horse card. She's 3 of 4 lifetime, just under $188,000 in career earnings. Owned by Joel Politi, trained by Tom Amos, bred by Tri-Equus Bloodstock LLC in Kentucky. Ridden to victory by Corey Lannery, and you can take a look at the pedigree at the bottom of the horse card. She is by alternation out of a Bernardini mare named Havisham. Now, I'm sure this number is going to be a little bit sort of, I don't want to say lackluster or disappointing, but a 78 buyer speed figure for Serengeti Empress, and I'm sure some people will look at it and say, oh, it's way too low, it's way too low. I don't think you can make that argument because this number seems pretty cut and dry, pretty crystal clear when you had 2 mile and 16th races run back to back. You had this Pocahontas. This just followed the race prior, the Iroquois for the 2-year-old boys. And timing-wise, the boys did run faster than the girls did. But it's more the way that this race ended up for a horse like Serengeti Empress. She wasn't asked to run for the final better part of an eighth of a mile. Corey Lannery shook the reins at her at the top of the lane. She immediately responded, opened up even more, and then he realized, I don't have to ask her for anything. We know what we've got here. She wins by almost 20 lengths. She finishes in 33-27. Visually, this was awesome. Now, usually you get a little bit of, I want to say a tale of 2 stories instead of a tale of 2 cities, get it? As impressive as she was, she clearly beat a bad field. When the runner-up in a graded stakes race is earning a buyer speed figure of 48, clearly we're not dealing with a bunch of great horses. I think you're dealing with a very exciting horse, the winner. And now the question is, okay, we know she can just destroy a really, really inferior group. Can she do this against better horses? Now, the only time she's truly faced legitimate, what I think many people would consider graded stakes caliber 2-year-old fillies and potentially fillies that you'll be looking at come Breeders' Cup Friday for the Breeders' Cup Juvenile fillies this year, was up at Saratoga in the Schuylerville. And to be fair, I don't think she ran poorly. I think that was an instance where there was her first time shipping, first time facing winners. She was up close to a pretty hot pace. And you know what? She got a little bit tired, but I believe she finished 4th that day. She wasn't embarrassed. Now you combine that was a little bit of a seasoning. That was experience. That was learning. Okay, you're not going to win them all. Very, very rarely do you get horses that just go out there and win, no matter what. I think she learned a lot that day up at Saratoga. She comes back, she buries the field in the Ellis Park Debutante. Comes back here, buries this field by even more. When you look at the fractions incrementally, you break it down in Formulator. She went 23-17, 23-77, 25-26, and 33-27. I thought this was just a thoroughly impressive beatdown of a bad group. Can she do this against better horses? The thing that makes me think that there is even more ability here than necessarily what's at face value is in the career debut, she sat off of a horse very comfortably. I don't think she has to have the lead. Now, her best races have come outright on the lead, but I don't think she is dependent on getting out there. I think she's very, very exciting, and naturally, the connections are very excited too. This is a quote from Tom Amos afterward. I think I speak for Joel and myself when saying we're very excited. We know we have a very nice filly. We hope to keep her healthy all the way to November. It would be great to win the juvenile fillies right here in our own backyard. And I think, again, after a race like this, it's human nature to look at it and be thinking, holy smokes, we might have something here. You also look at it from a pace standpoint, the way that this race was run with a chart. The horses that were in second and third, closest attendance to her, They ended up finishing 5th and 8th up the track, nowhere. And the horse that was in 3rd, by the way, ended up being the slight 3rd choice in here at odds of 4-1. Got beat by a country mile. This is a very, very exciting horse. Corey Lannery, also understandably excited, quoted after the race, "This could be the horse to take me to the next level. I was just a passenger today. I really didn't ask her much at all down the lane, so I was pretty surprised to come back and see the fractions we'd set," which I just alluded to. This is a very exciting filly. She has shown that now, okay, we know 2 turns not an issue. We know Churchill Downs isn't an issue. She has sat off of a target in the career debut. The pedigree would suggest even more distance isn't going to be a problem. She's in great hands, great connections. Lannery riding, Tom Amos trained. There's a lot to like about Serengeti Empress. Now, we'll find out what the other girls do in the weeks to come leading into the Breeders' Cup. But if you're looking for a horse that has checked plenty of boxes heading into arguably the biggest weekend of her career, you don't have to look much further than Serengeti Empress to look and say this is a horse that has a lot of things going for her headed into the Breeders' Cup. Fingers crossed she stays healthy and we get the best version of her on Breeders' Cup Friday, because Serengeti Empress could be an exciting one. And if you get through the short-term goal, which is the Breeders' Cup, you better believe that people are going to be having an eye on the first Friday in May here, coming up in about 7 months' time in the Kentucky Oaks. First things first, though. We have a graded stakes victor here. She gets the job done in the Grade 2 Pocahontas with a 78 buyer, but it looks like it's on to bigger and better things for Serengeti Empress and company. She's looking like a very interesting one for the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies.